Hey CDA, and welcome back to Corsair Cove, where last time around I did so much farming I brought back an insane amount of loot. This is just a Raven ship and you can see thousands of gold, thousands of materials. We're gonna be very comfortable for a very long time. Now on top of that, I got 49 points for the compass, so that is going to make sure that we can reach level 6. We're actually just gonna skip right past level 5. We can go straight on level 6 to make us some very powerful ships. Look at this destroyer, the Wrathbringer. Now, in order to build those level 6 ships, we are going to need to expand our production quite a bit, but luckily we have 1,000 homeless drifters at this point to make us help do that. And honestly, there are several more events on the map in case we need more that I just skipped because I was realizing I was probably going to need to build a lot of homes for these people to actually make sure I could put them somewhere. Anyway, let's get on with it and let's see, first of all, where I'm going to spend my points on. I'm not going to show all 49 points, but let me show you some of the highlights. Okay, let me start with the wealth part. I picked up the Golden Palace because that is going to make all the resource deposits on the island unlimited capacity, which is going to make producing everything that much more convenient. It also means I can pretty much just ignore all the nodes that give me additional capacity from now on because I have unlimited capacity. Assuming I built this palace, so that we don't need to, we need to make sure we don't forget that. Now, on top of that, I spent some additional points in the Ultimate Jeweler, as well as in the Chainsmith, just to make sure we have a little bit of additional production. And I maxed out the Royal Ropeway because I really like the aerial lifts. Then, for notoriety, I already had the Ocean Colosseum that is going to make sure that all my crew just basically stays alive forever. We have still to build that though, but we have the gold for that now. I hope we also boosted the flag maker production to plus 15. That's going to be an insane amount of production. And I'm not entirely sure what we need pearl divers for, but I'm going to make sure that they are a little bit more efficient as well. Then over here in the Empire tree, I also picked up the military fortress, which honestly I don't think is really needed because I haven't really seen, other than that one attack with the capital ship, any attack that could actually endanger my base, but I just picked it up because I want to build it. I also made sure we have maximum weaponsmith production and a maximum pistol production, because I assume those are going to be some of the endgame upkeep resources. And then I did pick up some of the special buildings here as well, but honestly I don't think we're really gonna need any of those. Then last but not least, in the seafaring section we have the Great Lighthouse. Now this building is awesome. It's going to reduce the crew upkeep by 50%. So not only is my crew going to be immortal, they're also not going to be as demanding as they were before. Now this is going to make it a lot easier to just have a massive fleet of ships, so I'm going to make sure we max out those as well. And just to make it even easier, we have Cannon Foundry production as well as the Ultimate Tailor up and running as well. And I picked up all the special buildings that allow you to make stuff without raiding. So we have Silver Lining, without having to raid for silver. We have the Coppersmith that allows us to make copper lamps without raiding. And then we have over here, we have the hardtack production without raiding for grain. And then over here, we have the telescopes without raiding for lenses. Now, I'm going to build all of those special buildings and then kind of figure out what we need for the level 6 ships. Well, first things first, in order to actually build level 6 ships, we are going to need deep water piers, because as you can see, I can only upgrade to level 5 without that. Now, normally you would need to have some silver production in order to actually build these things, but considering I rated 1,300 silver in total, I can just upgrade all 4 of my trade piers up all the way to deep water piers already. And we have some additional pier locations as well that we can then look into. And while we're doing that, let's check out what we actually need for these level 6 ships. So we need Jolly Rogers and we need Silver Lining. Now I have Jolly Rogers already because I rated those. I don't think we have Silver Lining. What do we need for these? We need naval guns and we need copper lamps. And it seems that we need a mix of... Oh, we actually need steel chains for this one, copper lamps as well, and naval guns and Silver Lining. So we need a couple of different resources. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 5 different resources. Yeah, the steel chains apparently are only needed for a single ship, but let's make sure we have all of 5 of those in production. And of course, something else worth checking into is what, in terms of upkeep, we need for our new crew. So we are going to need some nice clothing, pistols, and jewels. So that's 3 things for the Corsairs. But look at the insane amount of stats that they will give our ship. We're also going to need some, I don't know what others are, like peg legs, I guess, and some hardtack food in order to keep the renegades happy. These guys will probably need something else. So these are also Corsairs, but we have more marauders here. Those need the cutlasses and the, I don't know, spyglasses, I guess. And then do we need anything else for any of these? No, it's just different combinations of the same units. So that is another 5. Yeah, 5 total upkeep resources we're going to need in order to keep the people on those ships happy. And we're going to need a lot of those. Now, let's see. We need a lot of iron for all of those productions, and it seems like almost all the iron is actually on the kind of the top left side of the island over here. That is a little inconvenient, I'll have to say. But we do have some iron over here as well. So maybe we could make the steel chains over here. Let's see, do we have any stone nearby as well? Because we do... Oh, actually, yes, we have that almost right next door. So this is probably just going to be our steel chain factory. And then we are going to make, what? The silver lining, the naval guns, I think it was. And then what else do we need? Oh, copper lamps. Speaking of copper, where's our copper? We have a little bit of copper here, so maybe we could make the copper lamps over here. Again, did we have stone there as well? Sort of. I mean, we could probably use the same stone for both of those things. So we could make the copper lamps over here, and then all the other stuff that needs the iron stuff. So the tool maker and cast iron and all of those things, we can make that over here and then kind of spread that out like that. Okay, so first things first, we have the stone and we have the iron over here. I don't think we need all 5 or all 6 of these anymore, so I'm just going to take those down. Are you covering anything else, by the way? No, you're not, so yeah, let's just take these down. I might regret that later on, we'll see, but we can always build more towers if we really need to. Let's just get rid of all of them. This one can stay for the moment, and then let's set up some copper lamp production and steel chain production. Okay, I did a little bit of math, and I figured that if I actually all hands on deck this iron mine and combine it with an entertainer's guild hall, this should be producing actually pretty much enough for all my needs. So I can have the chainsmith here, I can have the master shipwright here, that's also going to need some steel, but then again, I also need a tool maker. Well, actually 2 of them, I guess, but all of that can also lead into our cannon foundry. So right now I'm producing silver lining, copper lamps, steel chains, and I will be producing some naval guns here as well, as soon as I find myself some lead, because in order to make those naval guns we actually need cannonballs as well. And we need some lead for that. And there also happens to be some lead on this island as well. Now this isn't super close by, don't get me wrong, but at this point I have plenty of gold, and if you wondered where all my other gold is, I'll show you that in a second. But I can just do things like this now. Kind of connect all of this up. I already have kind of a highway of those aerial lifts up here. So by connecting all of this up, actually the supply line is pretty efficient as it is. So if can I fit a aerial line in here somewhere, and then if I connect that up to this thing, this entire transport is very, very quick and cheap as well. Well, not cheap, but it's quick. For the Jolly Roger flags, I need a leaf cutter and I need some lime, which is right over here. As you can see, we have a lime over here and we have the fiber over here, so it doesn't really get any closer than this. I do need a new pirate camp in order to build that, but you know, I needed that anyway because I have a location here for another pier, so we'll have to set that up one way or another. Now you do need a surprising amount of buildings just to have a single flag maker do its job. I'm probably going to have to refine the ratios here, but first of all I want to get everything up and running so we can actually see if the production line isn't working like intended, and then we'll fine-tune it. But yeah, we need some pigment and we need the weaver in order to make some of those sheets, and those need 2 or 3 buildings each as well. So all in all, this is a pretty substantial colony just to make some flags. Now, all of this construction work might look really impressive, but we still have 7 additional upkeep items to add to the mix as well. Which actually brings me to the second reason I tried to kind of put all of my shipbuilding resources in one place. Because for the upkeep resources we need a lot of steel as well. So for the pistols we need steel. In order to make these jewelry we will need stools, which needs steel. In order to make sabers we need steel. In order to make protheses apparently we also need steel. And then in order to make these spyglasses, well, we want to make them from tools rather than the lenses. And you guessed it, that needs steel. Luckily, we won't be building too much of it because we will be building the lighthouse, which is going to reduce the upkeep by 50%. So we can literally have twice as many ships from the same resources we could otherwise have. Also building the golden palace, so all of these resources that could run out at some point are actually never going to run out ever again. And of course the Ocean Colosseum is just going to be awesome, so I don't have to worry about losing crew anymore. That is where all that gold went, and I'm now pretty much out of gold because I built several kind of highways of these, what do you call them, these aerial lifts, in order to make sure we have kind of that going through, kind of crisscross through our entire base. It could probably be re-optimized at some point, but at this point I'm kind of just looking at the end of the game and, well, not wanting it to be over, don't get me wrong, I'm really having a lot of fun, but I don't think it's really worth optimizing at this point anymore. That said, let's actually build some production chains. Okay, this is TDA from about an hour later. This is not how you want to do that. There's a couple of reasons for that. So first of all, this is madness. It's breaking my brain to kind of keep track of what I'm building where. But on top of that, by building it like this, you can actually not really connect the buildings together. So after all these dozens of buildings have been built, I would have to go through all of them once more to actually connect them up. On top of that, me trying to build the income materials needed for, I don't know, like 4 different ships, I guess. I mean, that's about as simple as that gets. It is actually really challenging because you need quite a bit of resources for that, and those resources are all over the place. That's not really the biggest reason why you don't want to do this, but I can definitely see if you just focus on a single win condition, this would be a lot easier. Then there is another real weird problem I have. I can't actually find the production building to make the prosthetic limbs. It's just not in here. I think it's one of the last buildings that is supposed to pop in here, but as far as I can tell, there is no building for it in the compass, and I can't find it in here either. So I don't know. You tell me, where does the limb maker come in for the prosthetics? Then something else I didn't actually fully take into consideration is that these special buildings need 500 gold each in order to actually produce these spyglasses. So making them the difficult way, whatever that is, as in using the goods that you will actually have to raid for, is probably the way to go. Now, that being said, I actually don't know how you make them. This might sound weird, but here's the Tinkerer making those goods, but I don't think I have the alternative. I do have 2 options, for example, to make silver lining. They're already in my inventory here, so one of them is costing gold, the other one is just free. Well, not free, just cost some building materials. But with that in mind, I actually don't know where the other options come from for the more advanced ships. Well, I definitely have everything unlocked, so that's kind of weird. So, long story short, what I'm gonna do is actually, I think, the way you're supposed to do this in hindsight, is that I'm gonna reload my save game at the end of the last episode, and then I'm gonna go and build these things step by step rather than all at once. That's probably going to mess with my cohesion a little bit, but it's actually going to be more efficient and a bit more strategic than the alternative. Alright, so kind of hitting the reset button on this episode, but I do want you to see the entire process. So I reloaded, I will dedicate the compass points once more, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to upgrade all my level 4 ships to level 5. So let me show you an example. We already have the level 5 destroyer unlocked without even assigning anything, and what will happen, I think, is that... Actually, let me just try and show you. Here we go. This is actually going to remove the entire ship, thereby also releasing its crew, and as a result it is going to completely for free reduce the upkeep that I need to keep all my ships up and running. So this is actually going to make it a lot easier to rebuild because I don't have the mending crew, the mending stuff in the meanwhile. Oh, okay, well actually this answered some of my questions. I've now actually started to build a couple of production chains, so I didn't even place down as many buildings as before. And as I'm building stuff, new things are unlocking. For example, the limb maker that I was unable to find before. Apparently it only unlocks as soon as you build certain things. For example, I think it actually unlocked when I built my first tier 5 ship. So it's a little bit of weird gating from the perspective of the game, but in a different line of thinking, you could argue that it's more natural to develop your base step for step. I'm also a little bit worried about the cohesion I'm losing with everyone just being unhappy at this point. So I might have kind of broken my own game by doing a lot of exploring at the same time without progressing the game in the meanwhile. But anyway, let's see if we can deal with that. Alright, I built myself some naval guns and some steel chains, and that means I now have 4 level 5 ships, and that makes it a lot easier to kind of progress from here on. Now, I actually only equipped these ships with the very basic crew. Well, not the very basic crew. Can I actually see what crew is on the ship? Somehow, oh, here we go, yeah. So, I have some buccaneers, we already had all the materials for those, and with help of the lighthouse we can actually have the upkeep as well, so we're producing way more than we actually need. And I just filled up some of the rest of the ship with swabbies. As you can see, I'm running way under capacity because I can't actually use the marauders yet, or the other upgraded tier of crew, but that gives me something to work towards while I'm actually using my ships as well. So I think this isn't how you're intended to play this, and maybe not even with 4 different types of ship at the same time. But this is definitely a way more smooth. Now, that means I can now move on to producing some spyglasses and sabers. And what do we need for the other ones? Let me double check. Oh, we need those limb makers that we now actually have access to, and the hardtack. So looking at the 2 recipes I have for hardtack, the one that does not require me to raid for grain is fairly efficient. We are gonna reuse the cassava production along with some herbs in order to make the hardtack, but remember, this thing does cost quite a bit of gold to actually put down. The alternative is to use rice, or grain, I guess. I guess it's just grain. We only need to add some water and that's it. So this is in terms of building space, this is super easy to make actually. We just need the rice and water, and we have water all over the place, so that's not really a problem. And I'm not sure how much of an inconvenience the raiding of grain actually is, considering we can do that in pretty large amounts. So I'm actually inclined to go for this version. Staggering the production actually also helps completing some of these deeds, because you do have several of them for specific production chains, and if you can slowly start building those up, that does actually help. Well, in the meanwhile, I figured why not just finish the quest line for the Sea Queen, and apparently this is just me wasting a whole bunch of cohesion, because this is a repeatable option in order to gain some treasure. But look at the amount of treasure. This is 40,000 gold. At this point, I think we can flee while we still can. Well, at least I now have all the gold I'm ever going to need, most likely. On a different side note, the fact that all my lost crew members are now automatically resurrected is also completely overpowered, so that wonder is definitely worth building. Okay, so I finally have my first ship back at the port, and I can now restock it with some more renegades. And keep in mind though that this cost is being reduced by 50% thanks to my lighthouse, but still, you need a surprisingly small amount of resources to keep these up and running. So I'm actually producing way more. As you can see, I'm producing 14 hardtack at the moment, and I think that's probably actually less than what I could produce, considering I am completely stocked up on that stuff in my warehouse. But yeah, this should be fairly easy to keep this up and running, and look at the amount of stats that gives to my ship, so it's definitely worth doing as always. I have the saber production up and running as well, and a couple of pretty efficient arsenals apparently. And this allows me to also start removing the swabbies and adding some buccaneers. And with those fully upgraded ships, I can start working on the level 5 main quests as well. And then now it's time to start upgrading my pier so I can actually start building the level 6 ships. But before I do that, I think now has come the time to make sure I have a little bit more happiness in my town. Honestly, most of the issues seem to be related to housing, which is not that weird considering I brought in 1,000 new drifters and I haven't actually built a single new house yet, so hopefully this should be fairly easy to manage. Something I'm actually wondering is, did the lighthouse affect the upkeep for my crew on the island itself as well, like the stew and bread? Well, maybe not the bread, but at least the stew and the roast birds that I need? Interesting. Well, there should be an easy way to test that. I saved the game, don't worry, but I have a 31 upkeep for stew here at the moment. Now, let me take the lighthouse. Let's delete the lighthouse. That hurts. And just making sure I'm unpausing, the upkeep is still 31. So it feels... Well, let me double check by, for example, looking at... I forgot where it is, that thing. Here. The arsenal, we definitely have double upkeep here now, but so it seems it doesn't actually affect the people on the island. That's good to know. Alright, this looks a lot more stable than it did before, so now it's time to start moving on to the production of level 6 ships. And in the meanwhile, I started to do some more events, and the points just keep trickling in. Now, we have all the level ships unlocked, so at this point I'm just focusing on upgrading my capabilities for any resource that I feel like I still need, as well as just picking up the special buildings wherever I don't have them. I haven't actually utilized a lot of those, but maybe we should look into that as soon as we figure out whether or not we actually have space left on the base in order to do so. On a side note, I just realized that this Fort Vanderkroon quest line requires gun damage of 3,600 and armor of 250. There's no way I'm gonna get 3,600. I mean, even my highest gun damage right now on a Mars ship has 125. I mean, the flagship, the level 6 ones are better, but they're not that much better. So I'm actually kind of curious. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send my blue ship, which I kind of don't need at the moment. I'm actually gonna send that towards that quest and see what happens. I mean, it's for science, right? The reason I'm sending my blue ship is I actually have a blue side quest. I completed most of them, by the way, at this point. But I need a level 3 ship, I think, for this. Which is kind of annoying because I have higher level ships now and I kind of skipped right past that particular one. So, you know, if I lose my ship, at least I can go and do the other quest. Well, only one way to find out, I guess.
Never fallen. Our cannon barely leave a scratch.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Well, we're gonna try anyway. Okay, maximum damage. There we go. Yeah, right. Okay. Let's prevent 22 of the 300 damage I'm gonna get. We're gonna go out with the blaze, right? Okay, fine. I'll try to do it properly. Never mind.
We need a better plan.
Well, that's for sure. Let's save the crew, I guess. Is that gonna trigger anything? Doesn't feel like it. I might need to actually just do these quests around it, which I have been doing with Amara, but that plan definitely did not work. Well, at least the quest line that you can do around Vanderkroon suggests that this is gonna help. I don't know, we captured some forts, we decimated the fleet. They said it's gonna be done, but our plan was just crazy enough to work. This is a day the Crown won't soon forget, and well, we get another 3 points on top of every point we already have. Fittingly, we also did 10 quests with Amara now, and I'm actually running out of stuff to do with my points, to be fair. I already got all the top upgrades. Some of these upgrades are not particularly useful, like expanding the deposit capacity when you have infinite deposits, thanks to the wealth tree, is not particularly useful, but you know, making sure our elevators are more efficient is never a bad thing. This is kind of like how I'm selecting my upgrades, just kind of randomly clicking whatever I feel I'm actively using. All of that said, it's nice and all, but the fort still has all its defense and armor, so I'm not entirely sure what that questline was supposed to do. Alright, so with all my level 5 ships completely stabilized, my base stabilized, and most of the level 5 quests completed, I'm actually still working on the Empire 1, but we will be completing that over the next few minutes. I can apparently pick which way I want to win the game. The spawn of those quest lines starts right outside my base. I'm just gonna try them one by one to see whether I like one over the other. Okay, so I also prepared all the building materials for my level 6 ships, and again we get some of those deeds for those. And now I think it's time to start looking into the different events that we can start to actually finish the game. As you can see, I finished all the side quests with the exception of one that bugged, but I don't have any way of proceeding with it anymore. So we can make a proclamation of seafaring empire wealth of notoriety, and that is, I don't know, is that gonna end the game, or is that actually just going to give us the final quest to put our level 6 ships to use? Because based on the the narration, it feels like they're talking about building a flagship, which would suit the level 6 ship, because honestly, we're gonna need a ton of resources to just maintain the crew on that one. Anyway, let's see what the Wealth Proclamation is all about. We will declare ourselves a port of boundless riches, free of royal law and regulation. The crown will be quick to retaliate. Okay, let's proclaim.
Bring in your gold, your coin, your ill-gained plunder to our port of riches.
You've thrown down the gauntlet. Prepare for hell to come.
If we want to do this, we must cut off the crown's foothold here. Destroy Fort Vandercrew. Defeat Machado. It's all or nothing now.
The Golden City may hold our means to get rid of the fort. We find its heart and claim the source of its curse. Then we direct it against the stronghold.
And then there'll be enough gold for all of us. The chain will want in on this, I'm sure.
Oh, a fun fact, the other options just disappeared, so I guess we can only do one. That's actually why I started with the wealth one, because, you know, I'm Dutch after all, so if we're gonna do any of them, that's the one. Although, to be honest, I don't think it really matters, because I have a feeling that no matter which direction you pick, you're always going to end up trying to defeat the Admiral in some way. Well, that makes deciding what we're going to be building easy. Let's upgrade the Reaver ship to the Loki. Actually, I'm now on Neptune, Wrathbringer, and Wraith. I was kind of hoping they would all be named after a god. But anyway, the Loki it is, so let's upgrade it. Now, what's interesting, there was actually one of those events around a volcano island where we could pick up quite a bit of resources for the endgame. And as you can see, I actually have quite a bit of clothing and pistols. This is gonna keep this ship running for quite a while, I think, actually. We just need a little bit of jewelry on top of that. So let's build a couple of jewelers. We only need some tools for that, as well as a bunch of pearls, which we have over here, which is why I built myself another pirate town. I also need an additional tower, although I haven't really been attacked for a very long time. You know, the Admiral is not going to be happy. Let's just build a level 2 tower, because I actually think we have an achievement for that. Oh, actually, this thing is still protected, so I thought we were opening up another one over here, but apparently that is not the case. Now, let's see, what do we need over here? We have plenty of housing, but we still need some roast birds, and we need some booze. Uh-oh, word has it that Admiral's Machado spies have infiltrated our island. We must root them out. Okay, not entirely sure how we're gonna do that, though. Have 5 efficient transport routes to an arsenal. Prove you can have a production of 50 shots per minute. And obtain 50 pistols. I don't think I'm producing any shot at all. People, can you stop bringing new pirates to the island? I already have over 3,000 of them now, and I'm running out of space to build my houses. It's actually becoming a problem, because even though, as you can see, I'm able to fill up most of them, especially in my central location, you know, where my main base is. Apparently we can use this cliff over here. I haven't utilized for anything else to build some more houses, but yeah, hopefully this will be some of the last house building we actually need to do. Now let me connect this up so it actually counts. Okay, so what do we need? 50 shot per minute, and how much is this gonna produce? Oh, this is actually already gonna produce 20, assuming we have enough materials for that. But I think we should be able to do that just fine. Let's add some more lead production. Apparently most of my lead production is actually just out of reach of my base, but there we go. We should be able to easily add in some more of this. Now, we can actually have several of those, so let's make sure we do. But we also need a charcoal burner. We do have some wood production up there, so we can kind of siphon that off, I think. And just in case, let's build a elevator. So, you know, we can actually make use of that. Maybe it shouldn't be an elevator. Let's just go for the expensive option. We still have a lot of our gold. I'm just spending it left and right at this point. Because, you know, we might as well make use of the gold we have. Alright, so then we have lead production over here. We have some new copper production over here. So this middle pillar can be where we're producing our shots. The inside of this pillar is actually just out of range of my base. But what I can do, I haven't actually used this before, but we should have a building somewhere. Actually don't know which one. I think it's this one, the spy nest, right? Yeah, it extends the range of the camp. So if I place that over here, well, probably not on the vertical. So let's not start being suboptimal if we don't have to. Let's put it over there. And that should extend the range of my camp. Okay, the spy nest is done. And as you can see now, this easily fits our production over here. So I don't know. We probably don't need that many, but I have a total of 3 now, so that should be more than enough. I haven't even considered overclocking them yet, so between these two buildings, especially if I overclock them, that should be enough. We are getting attacked by the random ships here and there, but none of them are basically powerful enough to really do some damage to my base. Other than the shot production, we're also going to need some more efficient routes to an arsenal, and we have 3 of those from just everything I've built so far. However, this new ship over here, and look at this. This is kind of a glorious ship, right? This is going to need an arsenal, which we didn't have yet. So I'm building a new one. I am going to make sure that these things have pistols. And we should have pistols somewhere already in our inventory. So let's go and pick those up. We can do that with this one as well. Hold on. So many stuff that is being produced. We should probably just put them all hands on deck anyway, and then we should be very easily completing this just by doing this. That's another thing done. Okay, so how are we doing on our shot production? This is a little bit slow. This is also because it needs to come from the other side of the world, but that's mostly because we don't really have an efficient way to do this. Which one is the aerial one? It's this one, right? Yeah. I thought so. So let's connect that up like this. Let's connect that up like that, and that should make all of that supply lines a lot easier. And we should be hitting the 50 shots per minute production really soon now. Let's also build an entertainer's guild hall along with these things, just because we can, and then we can overclock them even further for at least an additional 30% free production, regardless of the amount of materials we have available. And there we go, quest completed. Our crew trust us, and a few tavern inquiries do the rest. We identify the spies and feed them to the sharks. Alright then.
Yes?
Okay, so we do have Admiral Machado driving around here on his ship. So apparently that is what we need to do. How strong is our ship compared to his without any crew whatsoever? It's actually not that far off. That's interesting. Huh, this is going to be easier than I thought. Oh, and by the way, just for funsies, I figured we'd also build the last wonder that I haven't built yet, and that is the military fortress. And look at this, it actually connects to every single incoming unprotected line of fire that it can actually see. You know, that's interesting. So if we put it over here, there we go. It should cover about half the inputs to the island. This is not the best location, considering all those steps run into nowhere, but apparently we are still in the process of building it, so let's see if it looks any better once it's done. Let's see, who are we gonna put on the ship? I think probably Scarlet, because he has the boarding damage. Do we have anyone else who is particularly well suited for this particular task? We could also go with Audiencia, but yeah, I think we'll just stick to one of my old favorites. Looks like, again, for this particular type of crew, we don't need that much input anyway. It's 0.1, I guess normally it's 0.2 upkeep for every single type of resource. So if we just make sure that we have a tiny little bit of production of everything, then we should be ready to go and fully crew our ship without having too much issues. Okay, well, a total of 20 fancy clothing, pistols, and jewelry I think should do the trick. Alright, all aboard, and let's see, that is a pretty impressive set of people on my ship, to be honest. They're consuming 8 pistols, 8 clothing, and 8 jewelry per minute, but honestly, that should be more than my production, I should say, is more than enough. So, okay, that means it is now time to show them the power of gold. Wait, hold on. That's actually a different quest. So we have a quest to defeat the Admiral, and we have a quest for the power of gold. So, hold on. Let me check. So, what do we need for this particular quest? Not that much, apparently. So, let's go there first. And in case you're wondering, yes, I very intentionally sent Amara to destroy the Admiral. Well, all in all, this isn't going too bad. So, let's see. That should almost do it. And then this one should seal the deal.
This is it. The reign of pirates. I'd rather welcome death.
Yes.
Nice.
The skull is calling us home. His bed.
Aw.
I won't judge you for it, but I won't stay either. Farewell.
Okay, well, you're still here. You're actually the one that killed him, or at least the people on your ship did. Isn't she supposed to leave now? I don't know. Maybe that happens then once she gets back to, you know, the base? I don't know. This seems a little bit buggy. Maybe that needs an update, but she's not going anywhere, apparently. Well, I guess that leaves only one thing to do, and that is declare the power of gold with Scarlet. I'm actually kind of curious if we need the level 6 ship, or if this is just something we can just complete now we did all the other quests already. Only one way to find out. We meet with the heads of the Golden Chain, and a chord is struck. We may claim the heart of the Golden City and use its power against Fort Vandekroon. This will be a profitable venture for us all. Aye.
We have a map of the Golden City. What else do we need to take its heart?
Let's hire a guide for starters. Someone who knows the city and its dangers.
Oh, okay.
According to chain reports, atop the Great Ziggurat we will have to open the God's Gate. It'll ask us 3 questions about the last king of the city. Let's make sure we know the answers.
Oh, this might be a problem because we need to complete Fortune's Guide. Okay, I guess we're going there then. Can Amara go there actually? Hold on, because she's like right next door. And then you can still go there. But we need 500 stew, we need 100 pistols. We need to complete the power of gold, which we did. And then we need to know what the king's name is, what the king's reign is, and what the king's crime was. Okay, so I assume that's linked to all of these quests over here. If not, then I didn't write anything down for all these events that I completed. The answer might have been somewhere in there. Well, let's see what the Fortune's Guide is. The chain gets us in contact with the hardened explorer of the cursed metropolis. Apparently he used to be the navigator of the lost ship Prosperity. Well, we found that one. Now he's here and willing to make one last trip for the right price. Tell the tale of Prosperity. Ah, that's kind of cool. We can skip this particular quest because we did the other side quest. That's actually really like that. He tells us he'll go as far as the God's Gate, but not beyond. The thing that waits beyond. It's sealed in there for a reason.
Yes.
Interesting. Well then, let's find something out about the king's reign.
How long did I beg him to be my guide? But now you come along.
Be glad that we have him. He knows how we'll reach the God's Gate without ending up as gold statues.
A shame. I can very well imagine you decorating the council room back on the island.
It would be an improvement, no doubt. But I like my flesh ungilded. We have supplies. We have a guide. Are we ready to brave the Golden City?
Not quite. We still have to do a couple of events. We find a broken calendar turned half to gold. The markers are stuck and show the present month as the month of harvest. Okay. I'm actually gonna write this down.
In the month of harvest, we best remember this.
Well, if it's just gonna be go past these 3 points, write down or remember whatever it is that is gonna happen in here, it should be pretty straightforward. Okay, so it seems the king's end was in the month of harvest. The king's name was Tlacolotl, and the king's crime was greed. So hopefully that is gonna give us everything we need in order to go into the city. We have all the stats that we need. Actually not ahead of it by that much, but I think that's just to make sure you can do it with any of the captains. Amara, by the way, still here, but I don't know. It feels like a little bit buggy here and there. But hopefully it won't bug out once we actually complete this last questline. Before we do that though, let me take a final look at my base. I pretty much filled the entire island at this point. There is some room left here and there, but we definitely made good use of all the building space. We have over 3,000 pirates on board. We have everyone happy. We have 4 ships fully loaded up in action. 4 of them, well, all 4 of them being level 5 or higher. We could build some additional ships. I actually didn't end up doing that, mostly because I didn't feel like setting up new pirate camps in order to do that. We have all the wonders built. We have all the side quests that I was able to find completed, with the exception of the one that bugged. All in all, I would say this is a pretty nice completionist run. Now, just for the final questline, let's do this entire thing together.
Golden City. Our guide says the hidden watch this path. Let's keep low.
Okay, we need to do some sneaking. We want to prevent the damage, so that should work like this. We also don't necessarily want to keep the people alive. We have plenty of them and they get resurrected, but you know, let's play it safe, because this is by far the longest quest, by the way.
Quick now, before the curse takes hold.
Quick now! Ooh, that's a lot of damage, which we aren't that well able to defend, actually. So the real question is, do we try to defend half of it? Or do we... I say we just try to blitz through it and take some damage on the chin. This one we can defend against, that's not a problem. Although we should maybe just have blitz through that as well. I always hate this one because this is a disproportionate amount of damage to my supply. I guess we're just gonna gain some treasure. I mean, we're here anyway. Okay, now we can just blitz through it. That's nice. That's another one completed.
Gold, mes amis! Oh, forget the heart, forget the crown. This is all we need.
Again, I really like that Scarlet is actually here. Doesn't seem like we can actually prevent the damage to our supply, so then we might as well just go for the highest upside. Try to loot as much as we can in the quickest amount of time.
Don't you get it? This is a trap. Anyone who touches it is turned to gold. We must resist.
Then let's resist. I take a little bit of damage. That was actually a lot. Let's prevent some more damage.
Phew. Glad that's over. I'm not sure where we are. Let's push onward. The Great Ziggurat must be close.
I'm gonna switch for a moment to make sure we regain some of those resources. Of course, then the next thing is lose a massive amount of resources. Well, we can prevent most of that, hopefully. Okay, this should be the last. We rolled really badly on that one. That's a shame. Okay, there we go.
Lord's Gate. We've seen its like before. It speaks in my head. Name thou the king who betrayed his city.
Maybe I failed this quest last time around? I don't know, but it's that one.
The second question. Name thou the month of the ghastly rite that ended the king, his city, and reign.
The month of harvest.
The final question. Name thou the crime that moved the king to touch the divine and doom his people.
And that was greed.
Yes. The God's Gate opens. The deepest secret of the Golden City awaits.
Beyond the God's Gate, we find a vast burial chamber. On a pedestal at the center sits a gilded skull, blood trickling from its sockets, the source of the curse.
Magnificent. The skull of a king who could bargain with a god.
Want to hold it?
I'll pass, thank you.
The inscriptions in the chamber are clear. They demand a sacrifice of riches to safely remove the skull.
We've laid the path now. I'm sure we can provide this final courtesy.
We pile our sacrifice before the skull. Kanja recites an ancient inscription. With a golden flash, the goods we brought disappear. Kanja reaches out, touches the skull, and takes it.
By my rotting teeth, we did it. The source of the golden curse is ours.
Aye. A mighty weapon to wield for a prosperous bunch of pirates.
Tell me, is it safe to use? Do you know how to harness its power?
I have read the inscriptions, but there is only one way to make sure. We'll use it on Fort Vonderkron.
Okay. Oh, complete the power of gold, and that's the finale. Well,
Keep her steady.
recommended ship, level 1 Reaver. I think we'll just do it with our flagship. Well, that took a minute to actually get to the other side of the map, but let's see how we end the game.
No walls can shield against the ancient curse of greed. Today, Fort Vanderkroon falls, and we become rich.
King's greed is unleashed once more.
Nice.
Quite a sight.
Such power.
Of course.
You have to do that.
Oh, did I forget to mention? The king's skull crumbled to dust after this last use. No more golden curse.
Oh, that's a shame. But perhaps it's for the best. I prefer my golden curse anyways.
We've done it. The crown's foothold is broken. Now is the time to celebrate!
Okay then.
A fire spreads throughout the seven seas. It carries the flames of our ambition. We come for coin. We come for plunder. We shall not be denied. We loot on land and sea. We raid merchants, monarchs, and mansions. For the power of gold rules all, and we have become rich.
Oh, you can actually continue to play. Getting 200 Grecian. We don't really have a use for that. I do wonder, can we now also pick up the other end quests? No, we can't. Also, really, you just had to run out of wine during the last few minutes of my playthrough. Now I have to end with my main base in disarray. Oh well, it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I really enjoyed this game. Yes, the card game is a little bit repetitive, more than a little bit, to be honest, but it's not that bad, and you get used to it, so you can click through it kind of fast. It's not that challenging. I really like the ship content. I actually kind of got myself into trouble there at the end, so this episode was a bit longer than I was expecting it to be, but it's nice to kind of learn the game as I go, so yeah. Yep, that's all there is to it, guys. So make sure you like the video if you haven't done so already, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this type of content. And of course, if you are still here, especially after all those episodes, you are awesome, and I hope to catch you in the next one.